Hello everybody, welcome back to East Origin. This is clipsvh as always. When we left off, we defeated Zava, and we also defeated Kishkol. But the highlight of last episode really was Zava sliding all over the floor. Anyhow, our goal now is to go and stop the ritual so that Dallas doesn't bring ease down to the ground and kill everybody in Solomon Shrine because of the impact of, you know, a giant floating isle on Crater. So we have 4 bosses here, as I mentioned before, and we still got one more coming up, including the final boss. And you only get one guess as to who that next boss is, because, you know, there's really only one left. So this is the part of the game where they want you to get pumped, and they want you to be like, "All right, this is the final stretch. This is like the last 11th hour here." That's why the music is all different. And do you recognize the music? You should, because it's the same music, not the exact same music, but it's basically the same as what played in the intro, in the anime, in the beginning. I'm gonna blow up these red guys, and these red guys will unlock a chest, and that chest will have something special for us. There's also a lot of enemies around, so we're gonna beat them, and we're gonna level up while we still can. Not that we won't be able to level up later, but, you know, just as much as we can before we get to the final boss. I don't really feel the need to grind in this game. There's really it's not necessary. Although, if you did feel like grinding, max level is 60, if I'm not mistaken. So, go nuts. Although, after a certain point, it's going to get harder and harder for you to actually get to 60, because enemies start giving you less and less experience. So, one of the things that's recommended is you go to your weakest weapon so that you get your XP bonus at the bottom left to max. You fill up that XP bonus, and then you gain just a little bit more XP by a little multiplier, and you get extra XP that way. We're not gonna actually, for all intents and purposes for this, we're not gonna actually bother with that. You can, I'm not. So inside this chest we got these Dark Falcon leggings, and that'll make the complete set of the last armor we get in the game. So I'm going to equip that right away, and now we're going to move on. This next boss is actually a couple of rooms away. So most of these enemies are going to be like the same kind of enemies we've already seen. A couple of them are going to be beefier versions of some of the enemies we've already encountered earlier in the game. There's one coming up that's kind of like one of those giant demon knights, the ones I kind of refer to as kings. There he is. He's basically the stronger version of the same kind of monster we fought in the first tier. And he's really weak against the trap mines. So I'm just gonna drop a whole bunch around him and see if that works. And hey, what do you know, it did. So that's the Devil Medallion, so that's gonna be the key rather, to get to the room with the final boss. Which is really good, because it's actually going to be another one of those things that's used right away. For the final tier, the 6th tier is not really very long. I mean, maybe time-wise, it's a little longer, these videos, than the last few, but you gotta also factor in that this is the end of the game. So you've also got, like, you know, cutscenes and credits and stuff. So, when we come here, we can go to the left or the right, and it's better to go to the right first, mostly because that button is the one you want to press first, because if we come here and we press this button, we'll get platforms to cross. However, the platforms that button to the right activated are a second set of platforms we have to jump on, and if we don't activate that button, we'd have to just end up stopping short, jump off the edge, and go turn that button on, and it's just a lot easier to go to that one first. And now I want to kill this slime, but it just keeps running. It just giving me the runaround. It's really irritating me, so I just went after his buddy instead. Flame element is still really good, especially against those slimes, because, you know, confusion status effect is really quite annoying, especially here when we're going to have to do a little bit of platforming. So these platforms here, much like the ones from earlier in the previous tier, there's a chest over there and we're going to want to get that. Much like the previous tier, those platforms disappear, so you want to get your jump just right. But luckily, they do come back, so it's not like if you miss, you have to go press the button again. You just have to do your platforming all over again if you miss. So we've got a chest coming up, but it's going to be guarded by a whole bunch of slimes. But first, we got to get across a whole bunch of enemies. They're really easy to pick off from a distance when you're playing as Hugo. Not as easy when you're playing as Unica, because she has to get up a little bit closer, but her fire element gives her that little bit of distance too. There's the last Salset and Panique of the game, none of which I have used. But, you know, if you're hurting for extra HP, if you're hurting for extra health, you need to raise your max, you feel free to use those. So I'm not even going to worry about my placement with these guys. I'm just going to run circles around them and just place my trap mines, hoping they hit. If he puts his shield up, it doesn't matter if the trap mine is, like, behind him, it seems. He still, like, just deflects all the hits. But, I mean, you could always just play the waiting game like I did, and, you know, just keep spamming those trap mines around him until eventually one of them hits and kills him. These enemies that kind of resemble weird-looking plants, they're also weak to the trap mines. The ones that pull you in are also weak to the trap mines. I just don't happen to use them all that much. It's just a lot easier to keep my distance, for me anyway, to just keep my distance and just keep shooting at them. And then when the ones that pull you in pull me in, I just drop a trap mine, because then what they do is they knock you down. So I can't get any hits in while I'm knocked down, so I just throw a trap mine. So while I'm down, trap mine does the rest of the work for me. Like that. These blue kings also jump around a lot, which also kind of makes them a little hard to get with a trap mine. They're not too bad though. You just gotta be patient and just sit around and wait. Not for too long though. At this point in the game, you're pretty beefy. Those last two bosses shouldn't have given you too much trouble. And if they did, it's probably because it's your first time around playing and you haven't learned like all their moves and stuff yet. But generally speaking, there's never any real need, like, I've never ever felt like I've ever been under-leveled or needed to grind in this game, unless I was doing something really wrong in a particular fight or an area. Except with the undead creatures in the 4th tier, those the ones that are actually mandatory to kill, those are just a pain in the ass no matter what. But by this point in the game, you're higher level, you got all the best equipment, your weapon should be fully leveled up by Rico, so you shouldn't be having too much trouble with anything. And if you go back to the earlier parts of the game, you should be like pretty much one-hitting everything you come across. So there's a Twisted Goddess statue. We're going to go purify that, and we're also going to save. And that door is also where we're going to use the Devil Medallion. And I'm just going to overwrite this save that I made accidentally right at the beginning of this playthrough, because there's really no need for it to be there. I don't know why I've kept it around this whole time. Alright, it's time to go fight the 3rd boss of the endgame. So, if you guessed that this boss would be Toll Fact, then you are, in fact, correct. Oh, what a twist. It turns out Toll felt the same way about Hugo that Hugo felt about him the whole time. Except Toll was less of an angsty anime man about it. So now it's not enough that we have to fight Toll. We're also going to fight Toll as he's transformed in his demon mode. So the idea is that it's going to be a lot like our encounter in the 3rd tier. But here's the thing about that. We're a lot stronger than we were back then. In fact, we're so beefy that Toll doesn't do too much damage to us if we don't let him, that is. And we do more than enough damage to him. Now, something you might want to take note of. Toll's attacks have their own alignment with the same kind of elemental magic that we're able to use. His dash would be a counterpart to our wind element. When he spins and flies upward, that would be his equivalent of our fire element, and when he punches his claw out and explodes like that, that's actually his thunder element. And the reason it's important to know this is because if you were paying attention in the first part when I picked Hugo, you'd know that Toll Fact is in fact, haha, the unlockable third character of the game. So for the most part, that's pretty much all he's got. Occasionally he'll rush in to try and hack and slash at you. So what you gotta do is you gotta have a shield and you just gotta jump away. That's what I do anyway. And this move is his burst mode. Not burst mode, it's his burst. It looks much cooler when you play as him. Well, I think it does anyway. So, this fight's going to go on for a bit. You can use the fire element if you want to have that little bit of distance and pick at him from far away. Although, your standard attack can do that just as well. I'm just going to keep using the shield for the most part, just to keep myself from getting hit. Boost mode's good, because that'll help you take less damage, you'll deal more damage. And this is better that way, to use in tandem with the shield. That way you take even less damage, because the shield just deflects a lot of the hits. In boost mode, it's a lot stronger than it normally is. Especially if it's charged. In the end, Hugo was finally able to regard Toll as his brother and not as his enemy. He's getting better at an accelerated rate. It really is quite fascinating. Are y'all ready for this? It's a big, long, winding staircase. Just to make this part seem really cool, they have this big, winding staircase with all these moving magic circles. It's really cool and atmospheric, and I like it a lot. It creates this kind of feeling of like, this is it. This is gonna be the big one. That's kind of how I felt. That sums up how I felt first time I ever got to this part. And to this music, too. It's a good fit. The last goddess statue of the game. We're going to purify it, and we're going to save right here at the top of the tower. Alright, here we go. Get ready, this is going to be the encounter for the final boss. No, you shouldn't have, Hugo, but you fucked that one up. You know, if you ask me, I think Hugo waited a little too long to start pulling out all the cool anime man hero cards. He just decided to keep playing the angsty cards before. Everyone's here to provide backup. It's kinda funny, they just flap their wings. They're giving their power to Hugo, so Hugo will have enough strength to combat Dallas, who has the power of the demonic essence within him. Now, Dallas wants to do something with that demonic essence. He wants to give it a physical form, and there's some big bad stuff that'll happen if he does that, and we're gonna take it upon ourselves to prevent that. We and Hugo. Now he's going to merge, he's going to fusion with the demonic essence from the Black Pearl and become the final boss. That boss fight's really cool, and I like it a lot, mostly because it happens in 3 stages, and none of the other boss fights really do that, so I like that a lot. So first what he's going to do, he's going to throw some Toho at you, and you want to dodge the Toho, and then he's going to throw some asteroids at you, and the best way to avoid those is to just dash and run straight. He's also going to throw this fire shockwave, and all you got to do is just go in between the flames. Best way to dodge this ice attack is to double jump and use your wind element, because that'll hover you right over it and you'll be safe. Now make sure you dodge the Toho, because you don't want to lose too much health here, because you have to fight him in 2 other stages besides. So every time he's open, you can just hit that white ball that's down there, and then I'll do some damage to him. Now, this fight can take a while if you can't figure out what to do. Basically, he's going to cover himself in shields that correspond to your different elements. Blue will be the wind, red is going to be fire, and this crazy yellow-purple is going to be your thunder. So if we run up to him with our shield on, that'll take out that shield. Then he's going to switch to fire next. So I'm just going to hang back, and I'm going to charge my fire element, just going to shoot the fire lasers at him. While he's doing all of this, he's going to continue to throw asteroids, and he's going to continue to throw Toho, and there's going to be even more Toho this time, so you got to be careful. Double jumping and wind element is pretty good for that. You'll dodge most of it vertically. And he'll keep doing everything else that he does, including the fire and the ice during this bit. And you want to watch out for the ice, because that one's the most annoying. So he's got these 2 little guardians on the side, and they kind of change their attacks as he changes his elements too. When he's shielding himself with the wind element, they shoot whirlwinds. When he's shielding himself with thunder element, they shoot these kind of weird black hole void things. And they shoot these weird little fireworms whenever he's shielding himself with the fire element. Now this one gets a little weird. Now we have to shoot his little guardians that he's had at the side this whole time. They're what powers the shield in front of him now. They're going to throw these snakes, and he's going to summon this big magic circle. And you don't want to get caught in that magic circle, because I'm going to take a minute to show you exactly what happens when you get caught in that magic circle. He goes into like this big cinematic move where he crucifies you and shoots you with a giant laser that you cannot avoid or do anything about. So you want to avoid that big magic circle as much as you can, otherwise that'll happen, and it's completely unavoidable if you get sucked in, and it does kind of suck you in a little bit. Also, he'll do this. He'll just use the laser on its own without actually sucking you into a magic circle or crucifying you. It is avoidable if you manage to go to his side and get behind him. But if you get directly behind him, his little guardian guys will start shooting bullets at you. And honestly, I think it's worth it to deal with the bullets more than it is to just take the laser, because the laser is going to do a bit more damage. So when his shields are down, you want to wail on him as much as you can, and boost mode's really good for that. And even through all this, he'll still be doing the same combination of attacks he was doing before. The worst is when he decides to use his laser and he's not like in the middle of the arena and he's like on the edge, because then it's just almost impossible to avoid. You have to be behind him in order to avoid it. And it doesn't happen often, but he can just use it when he's on the edge, and he'll just get that free hit on you. So whenever you hear him charge it up, it's got a very distinct audio cue. You start dashing and trying to get behind him as quick as you can. This boss fight is actually really quick when you know what to do, but when it's your first time playing and you're just trying to figure this stuff out, it can take a little while and it can take a couple tries. It did for me anyway. And Solomon Shrine will rise back to relative safety, where it will remain for a while. Until East 1 happens, and then shit's gonna go down again. And sorry to ruin that happy ending for you. But that's not like for another 700 years or so it's all good. that was Ys Origin. Really fun game. Anyhow, I think that's all we got for now. There was something a little odd about that ending. Didn't seem ending-y enough. Also, there was what Dala said to Hugo, which seemed a little weird. Anyway, this seems like the end, but it's actually not the end. There's more. I've got more for this. Not too much more. But a little more. Anyway, that's all we've got for now. So I'm just gonna let these credits roll. I'll see you all next time.